Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Renewable energy resources. Availability of renewable energy resources. Renewable energy resources are not depleted. It would not create any environmental pollution problem. By one-time investment, we can derive energy from many decades without affecting the environment. So, from the definition, renewable energy resources are the sources which are never depleted on the earth, and they are continuously being produced, and so they can be utilized. These type of resources which never deplete are called the renewable energy resources. Some of the renewable energy resources we will discuss in the following slides. First of all, energy from tides. Tides are produced by the gravitational forces of moon and the sun and the earth's rotation. If you see, the moon revolves around the earth and earth revolves around the sun. Over here you can see that in this figure, if the moon comes here, then because of the gravitational attraction of the moon, the water in the sea is attracted towards the moon and it raises its height. But this force of attraction becomes more vigorous when moon comes between the sun and the earth. At two forces of attraction by the sun and also the moon, there are two forces of attraction on the surface of water, or the water inside the sea, and the water level will rise more. And this usually happens during the 14th of the moon night. Because of these larger forces, larger tides are produced in the surface of water. And so one very novel example of obtaining energy from the gravitational field is the energy obtained from the tides. Gravitational force of the moon gives rise to the tides in the sea. The tides raise the water in the sea roughly twice a day as it moves a complete round trip around the earth. If the water at the high tide is trapped in the basin by constructing a dam as shown in this slide, if the tide is captured in this dam, in this basin, then the water level of the basin will become high, and this water can then be released and the turbine can run to get energy. So the dam is filled at high tide and the water is released in a controlled way at low tide to drive the turbines. At the next high tide, the dam is filled again and the water in rushing water also drives turbines and generates electricity as shown systematically in the figure shown here. So the tides raise the water in the sea roughly twice a day, and if the water at the high is trapped in the basin by constructing a dam, then it is possible to use this source for generation of electricity. You can see this figure here. The tides are coming first of all inside the basin, and in the reverse direction we can generate electricity. In forward direction, turbine can rotate, and similarly in the reverse direction, turbine also rotates. This is another way of generating the electricity from the tide. Energy from waves. Waves are caused by a number of forces, that is wind, gravitational pull from the sun and moon, and wind blowing over the water generates stronger water waves. The tide movement and the wind blowing across the surface of the ocean produce stronger water waves. Their energy can be utilized to generate electricity. A method of harnessing wave energy is to use a large floats which move up and down with the waves. One such device invented by the Professor Salter is known as Salter's duck. It consists of two parts, duck float, and the balance float. The simple view of the Salter duck, or the side view of the Salter duck, is shown over here. Salter's duck device is used to generate the electric energy by running the turbine. As we know that in Salter duck there is a gear similar to the gear in the back wheel of the bicycle. When the pedal of the bicycle is rotated in forward direction, their gear rotates with maximum speed, but when the pedal is moved in the reverse direction, gear doesn't move in the backward direction, and in this way a clockwise rotation of the wheel makes possible. In a similar manner, when this fin of the duck, Salter duck, rotates in forward in one direction, the gear moves in one direction, but in reverse direction gear doesn't move backside, and in this way the rotation of the gear or the wheel or the turbine continue in one direction, and from this phenomena we generate the electricity by rotating the generator with the help of turbine. So the wave energy makes duck float move relative to the balance float as shown in this figure. This is a balance float and over here is a duck float. The relative motion of the duck float is then used to run electricity generator. Another type of renewable energy source is the solar energy, and solar energy can be used in two ways. Number one, the solar energy can be used directly for heating purposes. The earth receives huge amount of energy directly from the sun. Each day 1.4 kilowatt per meter square. Reaching the surface of earth, it reduces to 1 kilowatt per meter square. Almost. Directly can be used to heat water, and water can be heated up to 70 degrees centigrade, which is large enough, and a higher temperature can be achieved by using the mirrors for concentration of the light. So concentrated light by the mirrors, when converges to the water, it can heat up to many hundred degrees centigrade. Another way of generating the electricity from the solar or utilization of the solar energy is the generation of electricity using the photovoltaic panels. So the other method is direct conversion of the sunlight into the electricity, and the photovoltaic cells are used for the conversion of sunlight into electricity. Thin wafer made from silicon. So this panel is made from silicon. Connected to, and this panel, the terminals of the panel are connected to the nickel cadmium batteries. Actually, when the photons are incident on the junction of the p-n junction, p-type material is one type of material and n-type of material another type of material. In the n-type material there are majority of electrons, and in the p-type material there are majority of holes. You all know in the previous elementary classes. The incident photons break the electron hole pair and generates the electrons and holes. Electrons moves towards the one terminal by getting some energy from the photon, and holes are moved towards another terminal. So there will be a generation of potential difference at the two terminals, and this potential difference is able to run the load just like bulbs or fan or any other load. are to charge the batteries connected to the, and these batteries can be nickel cadmium batteries. Solar cells are very expensive. In the past they were also more expensive, but now with the passage of time solar cells are getting cheaper, but relatively they are still expensive. But their running cost is very low and they have a long life of almost 25 years. These solar cells are very useful to power up the satellites, as there is no other source of energy which can be continuously available in the space. So solar cells are used to power the satellites. The next form of the renewable energy resource is energy from biomass. Energy from biomass can be obtained either by direct combustion of the biomass or by the fermentation process. In the fermentation process, this type of apparatus is used. It is a very simple apparatus. Actually, there are three wells, one bigger well, a dung or a manure, and the water mixture is prepared over here, and that is sent into the main well for some days. After some days, a process of fermentation produces the methane gas and carbon dioxide gas. A cap over the well, heavy cap over the well is placed, which collects the gas, methane gas, and directs it to the utilization media. You can see that the level of the three wells is same. The level of the liquid or the mixture of dung and water remains at the same level as it is a liquid. When more dung is inserted into this well, then some old mixture is exhausted to the exhaust well. And in this way, a continuous process of production of methane continues. The production of methane gas in this way is very cheap, and it can be used for domestic and for other purposes. Energy from waste products. Waste is burnt and heat energy is used to generate the steam which runs the turbine. And also in many countries, electricity is produced by this resource of energy. Large cities have the large amount of waste which is collected by the help of metro trains or local train or cabins or some other transportation, and the waste is collected at some central location where it is burned and electricity is produced. The last type of the renewable energy source is the geothermal energy. This is the heat energy extracted from inside the earth in the form of hot water or steam. Actually, heat within the earth is generated by three processes. Number one, radioactive decay. Number two, residual heat of the earth. And number three, compression of the material. Radioactive decay is because of the radioactive material inside the earth. We know that there is uranium and other radioactive material inside the earth and inside the plasma or inside the heated portion of the earth. Uranium is everywhere inside the earth and over the earth's crust, which when decays, it produces heat, and large amount of heat during the fissioning process comes from the geothermal source of energy. Similarly, residual heat of the earth. As we know that initially earth was a part of the sun, and when it was isolated from the sun, it was very hot at that time, but after passing a long time, the earth crust cool down and becomes a solid portion, but inside the earth crust there is a lava, and that is very hot. That heat is the residual heat of the earth actually, and that residual heat can be utilized for generation of electricity. In many countries, this phenomena is made possible very successfully. Another geothermal source of energy is because of the compression of material. As we know that when large amount of mass inside the earth is compressed, or the earth crust compresses the inside rocks and inside material, because of high pressure, the temperature increases, and especially in the areas where the water is present inside the earth's crust, a large amount of heat exhausts the water with a high pressure in the form of geysers. Just like in this figure, there is a geyser because of the high pressure produced because of the high compression of the earth crust weight. And this figure represents the utilization of residual heat because of inside lava. A cold water is inlet in this pipe, which is when passed near the lava. It gets heated and converted into steam, and that steam is utilized for generation of electricity by running the turbines and generators. So this is the whole story of renewable energy sources and different types of renewable energy sources. Thank you for watching the video lecture. Please subscribe our channel and visit the website www.cancollege.com. Thank you.